Well, good evening, everyone. My goodness, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I always find that song like a flush. Yeah. All right. Something else is done. All right. So let me say that this is we're happy to have you. We've had a little technical difficulties in getting started, but I hope that we're going to get it organized now. Let me see if we could get. I'm here. Yeah, yeah. So we've had some technical difficulties. As you know, things that could go wrong will go wrong at the worst possible time. We've had our guest on, and Mrs. Adriana Sandrine Isaac Rattan, a very long name. But because we've had some technical difficulties with her coming on, we have to use her on the telephone. So we've had to be able to be very ambidextrous in dealing with this thing. Yep. And let me tell you that we've had a wonderful sessions over the last couple of weeks, and we expect another wonderful session here today also. And I want to thank all our sponsors for making it happen. Today's topic, as you may very well aware, is breadcrumbing in relationships. Breadcrumbing in relationships. That is something that you've got to ask yourself. Are you suffering from it? Are you in a relationship where that is taking place? So we're going to find out about that. So let's not waste more time. Thank you very much for our sponsors. And let's go there now, and then we come back and we get the program running.
In today's society, we need security that is trustworthy, reliable, and efficient. Rapid Response Security Services Limited is here to meet all your needs. Since 1990, this security company leads while others follow, with a commitment to provide satisfaction in service. We specialize in modern and professional security systems. Contact us at 639-3675 or 660-7418, or visit us at the Blue and White Building, Mount Mary, Scarborough, Tobago.
Double B Supermarket, 60 to 62 Government House Road, Scarborough, Tobago. All items reasonably priced, friendly staff. If you don't believe me, you call them 639-5329. If you ask them any question, they'll tell you Jesus is the answer.
Don't let the weather of the day dictate your pace. I stayed cool every time I got into my vehicle, and you can too. At Tow School Center of 31 Gaskin Bay Road, Bonaccord, they specialize in auto air conditioning with parts and services catering to your car's needs. Call and ask for tows at 660-8777 or 788-3535. Tow School Center, where a comfortable ride is a cool ride.
A couple of people who are online. Precious Gopal Boxale, good night to you. Elon Gordon, Candice Alexander, Sharon Simmons, Charmaine Boyce, Marcia Wilson Myers, good to see you. Good to see Bernadette. Who else do we have? Timothy Benjamin. Wow, we have quite a number of people on. We have also, yes, Joanne Matthews. Blessed night, she says. Keep trusting God. He's always in control when the circumstances may seem out of control. Oh, yes. Yep. Thank you very much for all of you all who have been logging on. Let me tell you, share the live. Just share the live and call somebody and say, listen it up. We're talking about breadcrumbing relationships. Some of you are in a courting relationship that is breadcrumbing. Some of you are in a marital relationship breadcrumbing. Some of you are breadcrumbers. Yep, that's right. You heard me. I said it. So let's find out what this is all about. We have on our program today Mrs. Adriana Rattan, and she is from she's the president of the International Women's Resource Network, a lady that I've had the pleasure of interacting with on programs on radio already, and so therefore it is with pleasure we introduce her. Unfortunately, you can't see her lovely face, so we'll have to settle for her voice that she's going to soothe you with. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Mike, and good evening to the producer and all the all Facebook viewers, listeners, locally, regionally, and internationally. I'm happy to be here.
Right. You are generally from Trinidad, not so?
Yes,
Right, but
I'm from yes,
you are domiciled outside at this time.
yes, yes.
Right, yes. Well, that's the advantage of technology. We could be able to still long time, we used to say that we having all of these um the movement of knowledge outside of the country. Now technology has caused us to repatriate that, bring you all
Correct,
right back
correct,
here so that you could still make your valuable contribution. Let's
correct.
start off by asking you the question: what in the name of heavens is breadcrumbing?
So breadcrumbing breadcrumbing exists when an individual leads on another romantically through social media platforms or basic text messaging. Let me also put it out there that the messages that breadcrumbers use are usually very vague because it's all about, they have different motives. So one
Mhm.
is, the
Could,
main
could you
motive
speak up
really
some
is
more
to,
into your speaker, please, so that they could pull you up properly?
yes, sorry about that.
Yes,
So I was
directly
talking
into the
about the
microphone.
message.
Yes.
Yes, I was saying that the messages that breadcrumbers send to their victims or
Uh-huh.
their partners
Yes.
are usually vague and really open-ended and has no true meaning of commitment um, or being supportive of the person or so. So, for example, if a breadcrumber wants to ask you, um, are you having a good day? Are you having a nice day? They would send you a text and say howdy, how D-A-Y, day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Depending on your motive, they would usually send one text message to you, love you, love you, I miss you, I want you. So
Mm-hmm.
those kinds of short messages they send to keep
To hold the
their
interest.
party interests, yes, yes. And it
Wow.
depends too. Now, they love you and I want you and I miss you. It depends on whether they want a sexual favor, some kind of sexual gratification from the connection.
Mm.
And then there's the other side, Mike, that we need to factor into the conversation. Some breadcrumbers are interested in extortioning money from their partners. So they
Ah.
would use a different kind of languaging when they want to connect. But at the end of it all, the connection is not about commitment. The connection is not about having anything permanent or even beginning a real relationship. It's just about keeping you interested.
But somebody could innocently think that this person is genuinely interested in them and may commit, but realize that there's a delay in the commitment.
Correct, correct. In fact, we had a client out there in Canada. I'm not going to say exactly which province, who was a victim of breadcrumbing for like about 3 years, and eventually she committed suicide
Wow.
because you see she fell in love with the person, but the person never, as I said, never committed. And what breadcrumbers do is very painful when you hear these stories, the breadcrumbing stories out there, Mike. Very, very painful and heart wrenching, because sometimes the victim, the
Mm-hmm.
victim is interested, they fall in love, they're looking for some kind of commitment,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not getting it. Um, and time passes on and they're looking at their friends or their family members who are getting married and getting some kind of committed relationship. They are not getting it, and then they just go in a hole and they just disappear. Some of them get depressed. Some of them end up in mental asylums. It's a very serious issue,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm happy that, I mean, one night is not enough to talk about it.
Right.
It's a lot of spin-offs from breadcrumbing.
Now you have some background in mental health, not so? Or do you?
No, my background is in domestic violence against women and sexual violence against minors. In
Right.
fact, that is where my PhD work is interest is.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Nice. Thanks. So,
So it's
my
about understanding, but sorry, I just wanted to put out there, understanding domestic violence. You have to understand the places where it come from, and breadcrumbing, unfortunately, is one of those places where domestic violence can evolve into
Okay.
something serious.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, is it linked to narcissism in some way? Because when I listen to you, it sounds manipulative. It sounds almost narcissistic. That the person is only concerning
Correct.
about their own selves and not concerning the person who they are in a
Correct,
relationship with.
correct. It's about self-aggrandizement. And what my research has been telling me, and even from our team at the International Women's Resource Network, is that a lot of breadcrumbers, 8 out of 10 breadcrumbers, they have been victims of different kinds of relationship circumstances, negative circumstances that have caused them to repeat it on someone else in terms of their own behaviors. Some of them were hurt in relationships. Some of them grew up in a very painful environment, violent environment, and they feel, there's a fear of committing to anyone. And sometimes they use their good looks, they use their handsomeness, for want of a better word, um, to woo people, and is really unfortunate. The other thing that is very um, noteworthy about this whole breadcrumbing thing, like, is that a breadcrumber doesn't connect with their victim every day. So a breadcrumber may connect with you today, but today is Thursday, the 17th of March. You may not hear from them until maybe the 3rd of April.
Wow.
Then
So they
why?
ghost in you.
Why? Yeah, why? Because they know, especially when they know for a fact how interested you are and how much you are in love with them. They are not in love with you, but you are in love with them. So they capitalize on that,
Hmm.
right, to lead you on. And whilst the victim is not hearing from the breadcrumber, they are paining and they
Hmm.
are hurting. And that is the danger in it.
All right. Coming up on your screen, viewers, is the poll for the day. Who's more likely to be guilty of breadcrumbing, men or women? That's the poll. And you just answer it according to your own persuasion. Who's more likely to be guilty of breadcrumbing? Um, Annabelle Bay on Facebook says sometimes the person not even good looking and they're still trying to breadcrumb you. Good someone feed
Yeah,
crumbs
yeah,
and yeah.
that's true. That's true. It could be. Remember, breadcrumbers come from every sector of society. Yeah? So it could be a rich businessman. It
Mm.
could be a millionaire. So, like domestic violence, it traverses throughout the whole span of life. So it really doesn't matter whether the person is good looking or handsome or so. The person may have wealth, they may have assets and so on. They
Mm.
use those factors, those things to breadcrumb.
But it is not only in relationship, is it? Because you could have someone promising you a job. You are so anxious to get a job because you're unemployed, and then they keep you go, you check them out. They say, "Well, we're still working on it, but let me go out tonight." And so on. So you go out with the person hoping that you'll be able to be friends with them and be able to get the job, and then they ask for sexual favors, and you still no job. Is that breadcrumbing?
I would know that is not breadcrumbing, because remember, that is a one-time situation that will evolve into um, something similar. But breadcrumbing is some with breadcrumbing there is continuity. The continuity is to keep the victim interested in you, or keep the victim. Or let me also say, two things: to keep the victim interested in you, and also to keep the victim interested in you as long as you are waiting for what you need from the victim.
No, you have
So,
to
for
explain that
example,
again. Say
if
that
a bread
again.
if a breadcrumber sees a victim
Right,
and is interested in having sex with her,
right.
when that happens, you may not hear him again. You may hear him maybe 10 years later, but the breadcrumbing will slow down because he has achieved his goal. And I'm genderizing now, because our research shows that 8 out of 10 males are breadcrumbers, 3 out of 10 women do breadcrumbing. Now, there is a different term when if a woman sends those kinds of messages to a man, they say that we flirting when we do that. Yeah?
Uh-huh.
When a woman sends that kind of message to a man on social media or text, she's flirting.
Mm-hmm. So we
But if
give
a
her a
man
nicer
does it,
term.
yes, so we have to be genderizing, and the terms have a particular place depending on where it's coming from, who it's coming from, which gender is being
Right.
dispersed from. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Crystal on Facebook says she's been breadcrumbed, and I asked myself the same question. Well, I guess it's the same question from what you're talking about. Breadcrumbers waste your time, says Joanne Matthews. Annabella says, I'm not dropping my standards. Keep your job. Keep my honey, and you keep your money, and die with my dignity. So this question comes in: could someone feed crumbs and not be aware?
Right. So, and let me applaud the women for their comments. Their Facebook comments, very interesting. We applaud them. Now there are some women, and I'm saying women because this is what we have found. There are some women who are very vulnerable, who have been through difficult circumstances, either through family, either through relationship, and so. And they are looking for someone, not necessarily to support them financially, but they are looking for someone, they're looking for that attention. They're looking for someone to not only hear them, but to listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, depending on how vulnerable that person is, depending on how desperate that person is in terms of their needs, the breadcrumbs will be thrown at them and they will be unaware because and these breadcrumbs are very witty. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So when a man says to who is breadcrumbing says to you he loves you and if he says that long enough, then you will tend to believe it, right? If he keeps telling you that every day,
Mm-hmm.
love you, I want you, I need you, I miss you, and you keep
So
telling
you'll
that,
believe it even
then
without the actions demonstrating the love, you think?
correct, correct.
Wow.
I remember in my younger days, men would see me and tell me they love me, and I would run them. I say, but you ain't know me. Oh, you're stupid. You say, but you love me. You can't love me if you don't know me.
Daughter.
But you see a lot of, yeah, how could you love me when you don't know who I am? And this is what the message I want to get to women tonight. Don't take that bullcrap when men come telling you in blowing foolishness in your ears about they love you.
Mm.
Run them because they don't know you. Let them. When a man could only love a woman when he gets to know who the woman is.
Yes, yeah. Well, same thing like in Christianity, to know God is to love God, because if you don't know Him, how could you
Correct.
love Him?
How could you love him?
Yes.
It's the same thing. You have to spend time with the person, spend time with God, spend time in fellowship and so. And then you'd say you love God and you want to do these things, you want to pray and so on. It's the same thing with a relationship. So women, when men come telling you foolishness in your ears about they love you and they want you, just tell them find the quickest ocean and jump.
Annabella said breadcrumbers are pretenders. And
yes, Annabella is correct.
Sharon said breadcrumbers waste your time, money, and energy. Yeah. So walk us.
They're not serious.
Walk us through some of the things that we can look for, because you did say that they'll ghost you, they'll disappear on you for a couple of days and then just show up back, and they would be giving you certain signals because they want to get certain things from you. Are there more signals that we could look for in our relationships to know whether we are being breadcrumbed?
Very interesting, and I'm happy to respond to that, Mike. So if a victim asks a breadcrumber, okay, so let me tell you, the first sign that you need that you can figure them out, and you'll prove that it's a breadcrumber, is once you start to speak seriously. So okay,
Once you start talking about
a
marriage and
breadcrumber
all
will
of that.
right, well, I come into that. So a breadcrumber will say to you, I want you, I need you. And then the victim will say, let's go on a date. Well, let's go on a date tomorrow, and they give date time. From the time they start to become very definite and specific, then they would stay away for a couple days.
Mm.
And
Okay.
then they would jump back again.
Okay. If
How
you
they
ask the person,
love
so
missing you.
let's say you are with the person for a while and you begin to recognize and suspect something, and you ask them, so what is the future for us? Are we getting married? Are we going to be together and so on? Because you see people put on their Facebook their status complicated, which means I'm not even sure if I'm in a relationship. So what does a breadcrumber do when you are now trying to tie them down? You've been in the relationship sometime for 4 years, and I've met people with 17, 18 years, and no commitment on it. They are visiting people, but yet they don't have anything solid going on in the relationship. What do we,
Right. So
how would they react then?
right, but before going there, Mike, I want to talk about the signs of breadcrumbing so that persons out there
Okay.
will understand what are the characteristics and the signs to identify breadcrumbers. The first thing is they blow hot and cold. Complete inconsistency in terms of how they communicate with you.
That sounds like a
So they
bad air
will be,
condition unit.
yes. So you would send they may send a nice, big, a seemingly and in inverted commas, nice and big message. And then probably within an hour or probably the next day, they try to pick a row with you
Ah,
via message. The other thing that we have to note, they're very, very important tonight. Breadcrumbers prefer to send messages and not have conversations.
okay, all right.
They prefer to send a message because a lot of people hide behind social media to do their dirty tricks. So having a conversation, they would stick some pins in places where they don't want to be stuck. So they prefer to send messages. The other sign of breadcrumbing, their messages are ambiguous, not specific, and we spoke a lot about that earlier in our discourse. There is no substance to their communication. So the communication is always open-ended and no specific purpose and substance.
Mm-hmm.
The other
So,
thing is,
we must get together. Those kind of non-specific phase, we must get together, but never really moving the relationship to
never
actually.
pinning down date, time, venue.
Mm,
It's
okay.
about keeping, as I say, their motive is to keep you interested until they achieve their goal. Right? They tend to demotivate their victims. So sometimes they may send, if you don't respond to them, if you as the victim don't respond to them to their vague message, they tend to demotivate you. And how they would demotivate you? By sending probably a nice text message to you. They say ugly, whatever, but to just demotivate you. And they love to use reverse psychology. They love to use
So,
reverse
for
psychology
example,
when up to their dirty
that I
tricks.
find you ain't checking for me again when they themselves have not been doing any interest.
Yes. So they would spin the wheel and throw the blame at you in terms of not connecting, right? And again, very non-committal. And those are really the key.
Right.
Those are the key characteristics of breadcrumbers.
Right.
And based on all research, like breadcrumbers are afraid of commitment because of their own insecurities as well as previous life experiences. So a person doesn't wake up today and decide to become a breadcrumber. If that comes from a place of insecurity, probably they were abused in their earlier years. Probably they were hurt on numerous occasions in relationships. So breadcrumbing comes from a place of negativity.
So the
Comes from a
person
place
who
of
is doing it
life
also
experiences.
has their own problems.
Correct.
Mm.
Correct.
Wow.
And because of all those insecurities and negativity, they now feel pleasured in hurting their victims by breadcrumbing.
Well, I'm sure that a number of people thinking of their own situation of the people that they are aware of who have been going through certain things, because you hear that a relationship is going through trauma, the person is treating the person badly. The person who is the victim of the ill treatment decides to leave. The breadcrumber
Mm-hmm.
decides to give them enough pull on the line for the person to say, I should really go back in through, because like they really want me, they really like me, they really consider themselves. And then you go straight back in, and they are no better off than when you left them. And it just goes on and
Yeah.
on and on and on. But they are feeding off of you, whether it's by sex or you taking care of them, etc., constantly. Did you
Yes,
answer the
yes, yes. It's a
question?
terrible thing. Is
Yes.
a
Mm-hmm.
but we sorry, Mike. We usually at the IWRN we usually encourage breadcrumbers to seek therapy, get help, because it is an ailment. It is a sickness.
But,
It
but
is
do,
a
do they
mental
readily go for help? Because a narcissistic person doesn't even see themselves as being narcissistic. So I'm wondering if
No,
a
we have had
breadcrumber even admits that being a breadcrumber.
no, no, we have had two breadcrumbers. One we had one in Grenada and one back home in Trinidad who sought help. They admitted why they breadcrumb, and they have been breadcrumbing over the past. One was 2 years, the other was like about 3 years, and they admitted, they shared with us privately why they engage in breadcrumbing, because they themselves were hurt on numerous occasions, and so and they, they sought counseling and help, and they are now on the mend. So it's something that is not nice, and I would encourage persons who have characteristics of breadcrumbing to seek help. Help is out
Mm-hmm.
there,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you have to admit that you are breadcrumbing, and you will know that you are breadcrumbing by
Mm-hmm.
not be it. The thing about it is, it is my belief, it is the belief of our team at the IWRN. If it is a man meets a woman, or vice, or a woman meets a man, and you do not want to commit, you do not want to become serious, then do not demonstrate such behavior.
Mm.
It is because you would not like that to be done to you. And that is why our mantra is do unto others like you like them do unto.
All right. Now let me ask persons. You could text us, 868. If you're overseas, 868. Follow me. 868 387 7553. Let me go that again. 868 387 7553. Unfortunately, we cannot take the call because we do have on the telephone line, because of a technical difficulty, our guest, Mrs. Adriana Ratan, who is she is speaking to us, and she's out of the country, but she was able to share with us today. All right. Let me ask you to also share the live to all of your friends. Let them be part of today's session. A question coming in here now is, can breadcrumbing exist in a family with parents and their relationship with their children when their children are adopted? I'm not too sure about that last part, but can it also exist between families such as parents and children?
No, no. It's a different, that would be a different scenario.
Mm,
That would be a different scenario.
okay.
Different kinds of situations, different kinds of terminology, different kinds of situations. So it's not the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this person say, I've been
In
breadcrumbed from Christian men.
yeah,
Explain that. Breadcrumbed from Christian men. So the whole aspect of Christianity has come in there now. Is it possible to have that in a, well, I guess if you have it in relationship, it doesn't matter whether the person is a Christian or not, that it is possible then, even among Christian men?
Now, let me say something many people would not like to hear.
Oh boy.
Just in the same way, Mike, that many people shadow themselves behind social media
Mm-hmm.
to do different and strange things, it's the same way they shadow themselves under the veil of Christianity to do dirty things. So that is possible. We have had different kinds of situations, even bigger than, worse than breadcrumbing from Christian, from so-called Christian, and I say Christian in inverted commas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Allow me to.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm not surprised.
Okay. Telephone number is
What I
8.
want.
Yeah, sorry. Let me just give the reminder with the
Uh-huh.
number. 868 387 7553 is the WhatsApp number. If you have a question, if you're on Facebook, you could ask the question and we're going to put it on the air for Mrs. Rattan. Yes, please. You're going to say Mrs.
What?
Rattan.
Yeah. What? Oh, Miss Sandrine.
Sanjin. All right. Okay.
Miss Sandrine. Now,
Sanjin.
this thing is what I want to tell women, and I'm speaking to women tonight, women and men. But I want to tell women and even men, when you meet someone, do not pedestalize them. And when I say pedestalize them, because they're Christian, because they're an executive, you pedestalize them and say that they would never do this. No, don't do that. And this is where a lot of people get shot in their feet because they pedestalize individuals because of who they are, and then the disappointment comes shooting them in the foot. So, and I'm saying that specifically with the question related to the Christian men. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Right. Yes. Thank you very much for that clarification. Is it possible? How do women, because you said it happens both with men and women, but there's a greater number in men being breadcrumbers. And I think the information would support that. The question is, how do women breadcrumb men?
Right. So folks, you all would have heard me earlier in our discourse where I said terminology has a lot to do with that. So for men, it is called breadcrumbing, but for women, it is called flirting. That is the way society has defined it. And that is what we have to work with in terms of the narrative, the whole breadcrumbing narrative when it comes to gender.
Okay. All right. So how do they flirt to keep the relationship and at the same time allow the relationship to wouldn't commit to the relationship in the flirtation spirit?
In the same way, you flirt, you send messages to the victim, and when that victim tries to commit, maybe I would like to take you to dinner on such and such a time, such and such a date, then you would have an excuse that you have to work late or something like that. You have to do some family. Yeah, so you would immediately say to the person that you have some prior engagement that would cause you not to be able to fulfill that commitment. So it's the same thing, but
Right.
it's just a different narrative, different jargon because of the gender.
But she may also ghost you during the month and then all of a sudden call you at the end of the month. How you going? You know what I'm saying? Because now it's time for bills to be paid. I want help with my rent. And they tell yourself, okay, well, we have a relationship going. I'm beginning to contribute towards finances and so on. And then next thing you know, you get what you want. And they tell yourself, well, yes, we have a good thing going. We have an informal relationship. And then they disappear again. But they flirt with you because I'm suspecting that the men may flaunt money as their crumb, if I could put it that way. But women may flaunt sex.
Yeah, I want to touch on an important point before we go to anything else.
Yes, and then well, hold that. Let me go to the break because we got to pay some bills, we got to pay taxes, and then we come back and just hold that thought. I don't want you to forget the thought. Write it down. All right?
Yes.
And the telephone number is 387-7553. Give us a call, or not a call, give us a WhatsApp message. Put Mike at Night on your phone and send the WhatsApp message. And then those on Facebook, please make your comments and share the live on Facebook. Thank you very much.
In today's society, we need security that is trustworthy, reliable, and efficient. Rapid Response Security Services Limited is here to meet all your needs. Since 1990, this security company leads while others follow, with a commitment to provide satisfaction in service. We specialize in modern and professional security systems. Contact us at 639-3675 or 660-7418 or visit us at the Blue and White Building, Mount Mary, Scarborough, Tobago.
Double B Supermarket, 60 to 62 Government House Road, Scarborough, Tobago. All items reasonably priced, friendly staff. If you don't believe me, you call them 639-5329. If you ask them any question, they'll tell you Jesus is the answer.
Don't let the weather of the day dictate your pace. I stayed cool every time I got into my vehicle, and you can too. At Tow School Center of 31 Gaskin Bay Road, Bonaccord, they specialize in auto air conditioning with parts and services catering to your car's needs. Call and ask for tows at 660-8777 or 788-3535. Tow School Center, where a comfortable ride is a cool ride.
All right. Yes, if you just joined us, we're talking about breadcrumbing, and we hear that when it comes to men, it is breadcrumbing, but when it comes to women, it is flirting. Yeah, a softer touch to it, even though it has the same impact. The guest on is Mrs. Sandrine, and she is um, the president of the International Women's Resource Network. Quite a competent lady. And so she's sharing with us her knowledge on this whole aspect of breadcrumbing. So we've learned quite a bit already. Let me just take this one from the WhatsApp. Good night. Can the breadcrumbing protect himself or herself so that they are not affected by the breadcrumber?
Repeat that for me, Mike.
Can the breadcrumbing protect himself or herself that they are against being affected by the breadcrumber?
Just detach yourself from the person.
Detach.
There's a word called delete. There's a word called delete, which I use very often.
But what
Just
if,
delete.
is it possible for you to be breadcrumbed by your marital partner? And then how do you detach if that is so? Because that
Okay,
is
so
a conundrum by itself.
right. So if breadcrumbing occurs in a marriage, it means it was happening before the marriage. The signs were there. The signs were there before the marriage, but were ignored but were either one ignored and or taken to something else, to mean something else. And this is something. This is the point I wanted to make my before you went to break.
Yes.
When two persons connect romantically,
Yes.
they need to decide what they want from that connection and how are you going to move forward based on what you want. But you see, what when we hear some of the problems that are coming to us at the IWRN, it is very clear that questions and communication are sorely lacking in that. We call it, I'm not calling it a relationship, call it a connection. You need to be up. I'm not saying when you meet the person the first 2 days or 2 nights, you just say, I want this or I want. No, but I'm saying you need to observe. You need to first observe the person's behavioral pattern. You need to check their family history. Very important to say, check their family history, check their family background before you get deeper into it. But you see, a lot of people get deep, very deep into something that is unknown to them, and that is how we have had so many women getting killed violently back home in Trinidad and Tobago because a lot of them, they just jump into something and uncertain of who the person is, and so the person again would have said some lovely things to them that they were sold on, and then they are no longer. So I'm saying all of that to say that when you connect with someone, get to know them before, and when you get to know them, that would help you decide, do I really want to move forward with this person? Do I want to keep it as just a friendly basis, or do I just want to just casual? So but no, but that could those decisions can only be made if you take time to observe.
Mm.
Observation is important. Observe, don't talk, just observe. Observe and observe the behaviors, observe how they communicate with you, observe how the man communicates with his mother, how he
Mm-hmm.
communicates with his parents. All of those things are important that will help you to make an informed decision as to whether you want to move forward with that person.
Yeah. But Sandrine, you know, dating sites becoming very popular now. Yeah?
Say again?
Dating sites. Dating sites are becoming very popular.
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh.
So, explain the breadcrumbing in relation to the dating sites. Is it possible?
Well, it will be the same thing. So you meet Harry on a on a dating site, and
Yeah.
again you
Could,
would
could,
start.
could you speak directly into the microphone, please?
Yeah, you hearing me better now?
Yes, I suspect that the
A little
operator is
better?
there. Yes, yes, please. Yes.
Right. So dating sites are dangerous, and I say dangerous because what a lot of breadcrumbers do on dating sites, they put photos that are not real. Sometimes, a lot of times the photos that are posted there as profile pictures, that is not the person.
Yeah. Because some of them,
Sometimes,
they have
yes,
three additional teeth on the profile, and they are without those three teeth in reality.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, yes, yes. Sometimes on dating sites, they would call you from a private number. The voice that you hear on the phone more than likely is not the person you think you are talking to based on the initial connection with that individual on the dating site. So dating sites are also dangerous. They are dangerous on their own, and of course breadcrumbing would support the danger in terms of engaging with them
Mm.
and thinking that prodding along with them, thinking that they want to become serious when they really have ulterior motives.
Okay. All right. All right. So telephone number three, that is 868-387-7553. And if you have a question, you can ask your question. Um, Somebody says that you need to walk away. Joanne said, hoping those who are being breadcrumbed make a decision to walk away. Thanks for sharing this message. Annabella said, generational curse is real. People don't play with your life. Yep. Okay. Very empowering message.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yeah, very cool. Yes, I comment that. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. So, is catfishing and breadcrumbing the same? Says Shamin.
In a way, yes, because it's the same. Their motive is not to is to be non-committal. So
One is
both of
using bread
them
and one
are.
using cat.
Yes, yes, yes. It's not to commit to anything. Yeah. From the time the victim try to commit or try to pin them down, then they disappear for a couple of days or a month or so, and then they come back and they blame you for not connecting with them. Oh,
Hmm. Okay.
and sometimes another thing to note, a lot of times breadcrumbers do not connect with you through their real profile.
Mhm.
Sometimes a fake profile. So that's something that people need to be cognizant of as well.
Okay. Now you spoke about the person who committed suicide. So is this considered a mental? Yeah, I think it's the DSM that they have the list of the mental issues, etc. They recognize mental disorders. Is breadcrumbing a mental disorder?
It is a mental disorder. It is a mental disorder. And because
All
of
right.
the
Somebody saying on
this,
Facebook your voice gets low, so you need to keep your voice up and keep close to the microphone.
right, sorry about that. Yes, so yes, there is mental derangement and mental disorder in the brew. Because the person who remember, so their idea, their motive is to hurt someone, is to
Hmm.
hurt him. And how do they do that? They do that by keeping them interested, not committing, not talking to them in a proper way, only text messaging as opposed to having a conversation. If you are genuinely interested in someone, at some point in time you will want to pick up the phone and have a proper conversation. Text messaging alone send people crazy if the person is deeply interested in you. And this is what happened to this young lady. I mean, she was 42,
Mm.
didn't have any children. Wanted to have a baby. She wanted to have a baby with this particular this breadcrumber. Um, even though he was non-committal, she was still hoping. And then he kept telling her what he did. He kept telling her over the years, over the past 3 years, that he loved her.
Mm.
Yes, I love you and I'm missing you and I want you and
Yes.
you're sweet and all. But
We
he
just
never
can't do
told her.
anything now. I don't have the money, time not right. I have plans. And as soon as I get those plans and the way, then we'll get together and we'll settle down. All the
No, that
promises.
conversation. No, 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 no. It's about avoidance,
Hmm.
avoidance and disappearance. So they disappear, hoping that you would forget the thought, and then they would come back again with the whole love you foolishness. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a serious thing, but I think important, Mike, in this conversation is for women in particular to identify the signs very early
Hmm.
and not keep it going on, because once you continue with it and along a continuum, then you will develop that is where the mental derangement will come in. But if you recognize it early, you have the strength to deal with it there and there.
Yeah. Because it have some people have had nervous breakdown and they've lost psychologically, they've been impacted so negatively because of these types of relationships that just go wrong. Just go wrong. But is there an increase over the years? Because in our forefathers' years, did this exist at all?
Not really, no, no, no. I think breadcrumbing evolved, I would say, like about 10 years ago.
Mm.
Around the same time when social media became a hit, that is when breadcrumbing evolved into a real issue.
Okay.
And I think even up in 2022, a lot of women in particular still do not understand how serious breadcrumbing is, and how dangerous it is as well.
Mm-hmm. All
Yeah,
right.
it's a dangerous game.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
isn't catfishing a person who is unfaithful, while breadcrumbing don't really want commitment? Um.
That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact, but there is a nexus in terms of the same non-committal and being devious and so
Mm-hmm.
the same adjectives that you would use to describe breadcrumbers, I would describe catfishing as well. Those catfishers.
Okay. All right. So when I see somebody says, I guess it's when you said that Christians also do it too, and the person is saying no, not Christians. Okay, so here's what it says. Who tends to be more guilty of breadcrumbing, the man or the woman in the relationship? Do you have the correct one up? The correct poll up, um, Mr. Director? Because I'm not seeing it. It disappeared. All right. Who tends to be more guilty feeding breadcrumbs in a relationship, men or women? Well, the answer was yes or no, but it was supposed to be men or women. So I'm not too sure the yes is to whom. Is the yes is to men. All right. So this is the poll, Sandrine. You, are you hearing the poll?
What's the poll?
Who tends to
Yeah,
be
I'm
more
hearing it.
guilty feeding breadcrumbs in a relationship, men or women? And the answer is 67% of them said it's men.
Mm-hmm.
33% of them said women. I have a
Yeah.
feeling is the men answer that one about the women, and the women answer the one about the men.
Yes.
All right, but
Yes.
it looks something like what you said in your own statistics. Where the
Yes. My
over
research. My yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes, in
My
your
research.
research.
What time you wrap, Mike?
We're going to close off.
Pardon?
We are going to be closing off in just a while.
Oh, yeah. I'm asking because I want to reinforce the point that I think for tonight's discussion and moving forward, it's important for both men and women, I'm talking to both genders here
Mm-hmm.
now,
Mm-hmm.
to be aware of the signs of breadcrumbers.
Mm-hmm.
Signs of breadcrumbers are similar to the signs of a narcissist who is really about themselves, is really about me, myself, and I. They really don't care about you. Um, they would maybe they just care about you. The only care they have about you is getting to bed with you. If you have money, getting your money, or hurting you. That's all they care about. So it's really about taking care of yourself and being aware of what's out there. And social media has really evolved and continues to evolve into something, into different things for different people. So it's just to be aware
Mm-hmm.
and to have that eye to be vigilant. You have to be vigilant.
Okay.
As I said earlier, we have seen too many women lost their lives, putting their faith into one person, going to meet this person for a job, going to meet this person to go to shop, and she went missing. They went missing, and then
Mm.
she was found in a shallow grave.
Yes. Yeah. So we really, it's really a touching emotional experience, and for some people
It
who,
is, it
you
is, and I
know,
think it's
mm,
for us is for us, Mike, is about every individual exercising personal responsibility in a way that they could protect themselves
yes, yeah.
and their protect themselves and protect their emotional health.
All right. All right. So thank you very much. We've come down to the end of it. This person on the WhatsApp says that they beg to differ, that breadcrumbing was around from long time.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much.
Uh,
Appreciate it. Which
okay,
part of the world are you now?
I'm in Virginia.
There you go. There you go.
Yes,
You enjoy it.
yes.
We really appreciate your
But
input.
I'll be home soon for a short time, but I'll connect with you.
Please, please do. And we'll want to
All
be able
right.
to call you again on some future programs.
Yeah, I will call you.
Nice. Thank you very much. All right. So that's it. Let me thank Sandrine for being so gracious to us. Next week we are going to talk to Mrs. Myrna Riley Devines. You know, we had a discussion on Facebook as to whether men are intimidated by successful women and this kind of thing and so on. It was very, very interesting and engaging discussion. Mrs. Mona Riley Devines weighed in on it, and I think she gave a kind of balance that I admired when she gave her input on it. And I invited her to be with us on, because we did speak last week concerning men, and we did plan that we would now speak regarding the whole aspect of this intimidation and so on. So this is a successful woman. She is, well, I don't know her age, but I know she doesn't look whatever age she is. But by all means, I had the pleasure of working with her. She's a successful woman, and I've never felt that she flaunted that success. You just knew she's a successful woman. And I think that the intimidation issues and discussion that we need to talk about and hear from her, her perception of this thing about success and being a woman and assertive in a world where women are disenfranchised and so on. We have some beautiful women, some really, really wonderful women that we interact with, and I want us to be able to give some credence to that. So she'll be on next week Thursday, 9 o'clock. And we're asking everybody to log in. Thank you very much to our sponsors, Double B Enterprises, Rapid Response, Toll School Center. Thank you all so very much. And if you want to be a sponsor on the program, please call us at the telephone number 387-7553. And you don't have to be a local person to sponsor. You can sponsor any time from anywhere of the world you can be part of. All right. Thank you very much for Leon Lewis for bringing us down. I know that we had a little challenge with the internet, with the technology, actually, before we came on, and we got that sorted out with the telephone voice. We just didn't have the opportunity to be able to see the lovely face of Mrs. Rattan. All right, I hope I've not forgotten to tell you something that I should. We'll be with you next week, Thursday, every Thursday, 9 p.m. on Mike at Night. Love you all. Ciao.
In today's society, we need security that is trustworthy, reliable, and efficient. Rapid Response Security Services Limited is here to meet all your needs. Since 1990, this security company leads while others follow, with a commitment to provide satisfaction in service. We specialize in modern and professional security systems. Contact us at 639-3675 or 660-7418. Or visit us at the Blue and White Building, Mount Mary, Scarborough, Tobago.
Double B Supermarket, 60 to 62 Government House Road, Scarborough, Tobago. All items reasonably priced, friendly staff. If you don't believe me, you call them 639-5329. If you ask them any question, they'll tell you Jesus is the answer.
Don't let the weather of the day dictate your pace. I stayed cool every time I got into my vehicle, and you can too. At Tow School Center of 31 Gaskin Bay Road, Bonaccord, they specialize in auto air conditioning with parts and services catering to your car's needs. Call and ask for tows at 660-8777 or 788-3535. Tow School Center, where a comfortable ride is a cool ride.